Hi, I'm Pargh. You're watching the Gadget Guru. Behind me, this is a 2007 40-foot Foretravel Nimbus. This is the coach that I took my initial driving lesson on yesterday. Today, we're going to start part 2 of Andy Learns How to Drive a Motor Coach with the folks from Motorhomes of Texas. So stay tuned because that starts now, right here on the Gadget Guru. Okay, you probably remember this guy right here. This is Keith Davis from Motorhomes of Texas, and he's been my instructor the past half day, and today we have a full day. We're getting a little bit of a late start, but you know, we're going to get moving here. Now, Keith, after yesterday, we worked this parking lot. We're here at the Expo Center in Nacogdoches. It's open again. What do you have in store for me today?
Today we're going to do just a little initial review, just a little summary review of doing the pre-trip checklist. We're going to kind of just do a quick walk around of the coach, making sure everything's secure and everything there. Then we're going to get into the coach, and I'm going to let you get the mirrors set back up the way you want them again. And we're just going to get you comfortable moving around the lot again, just to kind of get you comfortable before we get out on the road today. Once we get out on the road, we're going to get out on a 4-lane highway. It's a pretty open highway. Get you nice and comfortable with cars passing by you, feeling where your lines are on each side of you so that you feel comfortable in an open road space. Then hopefully by later this afternoon we can start approaching on getting into some tighter lane situations and you feeling comfortable with that.
Okay, and maybe today, depending on how things are done, do you think I might have the opportunity to try a different coach, or would that be more tomorrow morning?
If we make our drive and you feel comfortable and I feel comfortable with that, then I'd say yes, let's move on and let's try another coach out.
Well, good, because I don't want to do it unless you feel comfortable with it. Okay, let's pretend that, okay, I'm starting off for a day, I'm taking a trip. You know, we're just now setting this up. What do we do before I get behind the wheel to drive it away?
Okay, Andy, first thing we're going to want to do is first check our tire pressures in our coach.
Okay.
Walk around, and we're going to look at the tires too.
Okay.
Now, we've already done a tire pressure check on this morning before you got here. I've done a tire pressure check on here. But I'm just walking around looking for cracks in the tires, making sure there's no bubbles, no pieces of the tire that have come off like in a retread situation or something. Now, these are not retreads, but you know,
I'm happy to hear that. But what pressure is ideal?
Each coach is going to be a little different depending upon the weight on the axles. Okay. Now this coach here is going to run about 90 to 95 pounds in this front tire here. Okay,
and then for the other tires, is that similar or is that different?
It's going to be different as you move back. Okay. On your duals, you're going to be running about 85, and on your tag, you'll be running about 60, 65 on this coach.
This specific coach doesn't have tire pressure monitoring, does it?
No, this coach does not have tire pressure monitoring.
How valuable of an add-on do you think it is?
That is almost a must, in my opinion.
You know, I'm going to agree with you on that.
Going down the road, I want to know that I'm losing tire pressure before this tire starts.
And especially in a tow car.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because with your tow car, you're not going to feel when a tire blows out on it. You know, I've seen individuals actually pulling their vehicles with them in gear and not even know it. So you're definitely not going to notice if a tire starts to go flat.
Okay, so we're checking the tires. Now we move forward.
We're checking the tire pressures. Now as we start moving back, we're going to start looking at our compartment doors. You know, we're going to give them a good little nudge here, make sure they've got a good click. They're latched good. They're not going to come open going down the road. It's also a good idea to lock the compartment doors as well. Okay, and you lock them from inside? We can lock those from inside instead of going around to each individual door and locking it. Okay, so but when you put your knee, you're trying to see if there's a click. Right, right. On these, they have a double click system. Whenever you close that door, you hear one click right then. Whenever I put my knee into it, or my chin into it, you hear that second. There's latches on both sides. You hear that second click kick in. Okay, again, we're looking at our dual wheels here. Everything is nice, clean. There's no cracks in the dual wheel. Our valve stems, they all look good. We don't see any wear marks on the valve stems. Tag wheel looks good. Okay, then we'll be moving back toward the engine. Once we get back to the engine, we're just going to check our fluid levels. We want to check our coolant, we want to check our engine oil, We'll check our belts and our hoses. Just make sure everything looks like it's good and safe before we hit the road, because the last thing we want to do is break down on the highway with cars passing by. Okay, and as we come around to the back of the coach here, we're just going to visually inspect the back, make sure everything looks good and tight here. We're going to open up the engine compartment. Once we get the engine compartment open, we're going to check our coolant levels on the coach right here. As you can see, our coolant overflows above the cold mark. We're good to go there. Our engine coolant reservoir bottle here, it's full. Our belts.
And the belts, do you check for tension or you're just looking for wear?
Check, make sure they're not loose, and you also want to look for cracks.
Okay.
You start seeing the cracks in the belts, let's get those belts replaced. Okay. We'd also check the engine oil on here before we take off
and
as
that's
well.
just a dipstick, and
It's just a dipstick. We're going to pull out, make sure it's in the safe zone, okay? And just visually look around, check for any signs of any leaks or anything. We don't see any signs of visual leaks here. So we can close the door and move on around the coach now.
Now, understand, he checked these things before we took off this morning. We moved from Motorhomes in Texas to this lot at the expo. So we're just going through what we should do. Okay.
Right. Okay, again, we're just checking to make sure everything's secure. Our tires look good.
Okay, the same thing we did on the other side, we're going to do here.
We're going to repeat it on this side here.
Okay.
Okay. We're looking around. All these are good. Okay, before we take off, we're going to come down here to our air system drain.
Okay.
Okay. This is a good check to do every time before you take off. See, there's no water coming out of it.
And if there is water, you let it run until the water is bled out and it's just air.
Yes,
Okay.
we want to get all the water out of the system before
And
we
that's
take
not
out.
abnormal when you see that.
It's not abnormal at all.
Okay.
No, it's not.
Now, again, I assume we're going to knee check and make sure all the latches are done.
I'm going to repeat that all the way across.
Okay, now that exhaust here, I know the one in front of us is for the generator. What is that for?
This is your aqua hot heating system.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that needs to exhaust too. And back to the tires.
Back to the tire.
Pressure, wear and tear.
Don't see anything abnormal there.
Okay.
Okay, next thing we'd want to do is to turn on our headlights. Walk around, look at all the lights on the coach, make sure our side marker lights, our turn signal lights are working, our brake lights, you know, all those safety features for out on the highway. Make sure that everything's working properly before we take off.
Okay, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go in and do those checks. I'm not going to make you watch it on the camera, but what we're going to do, I'm going to try to put the camera up here.
Okay.
Let's see how we do a little bit on the parking lot. But then when we take off and I'm getting on the road, I'm turning the camera off, but we're going to check back with you later this afternoon after we do this, and I want you to be honest, and I want you to tell them, and I want you to tell me how we did. How's that?
Sounds great.
Okay, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back from day 2 of my driving experience, and as you know, you just saw him a few minutes ago in video, but it's actually been about 6 hours. This is Keith from Motorhomes of Texas. Okay, today we started off in the Nimbus 340, that's a 40-footer. Then we went to an IH-45, and let me tell you, that was one gorgeous coach. That was a 2012, a pre-owned model. What a ride on that one. And then we ended up in this 2006 Country coach. So how did I do?
You did good. I tell you what, when we first started off the day, I could tell the nervousness was in there. We were gripping the steering wheel a little bit tight. You know, we were holding it tight. But as we drove a little bit, I saw you starting to relax and loosen up, and you weren't as much fighting the steering wheel, and you relaxed, and the coach drove smooth with you. Looked like you did a great job today.
You know, and as you can see, we started off in an open parking lot, you know, and doing a lot of left turns and right turns. And even after doing that yesterday, it was a great way to start the day on the same coach run yesterday, because I got to get the feel of it again. Now, we went from there, I can't even tell you where we drove. I was paying attention to making sure we stayed in between lines. Where did we go today?
We drove over to a little town here close by called Mount Enterprise, Texas. We drove over there to a little truck stop, turned around, and came back over to Nacogdoches to get in a little practice today.
Okay, and then we came back, we picked up the IH-45. Did you notice anything from when I was behind the wheel that I was handling that different than this shorter, that 45-footer versus the 40-foot Nimbus?
I think maybe if anything, you are a little more cautious with a 45-footer because it does make you a little nervous whenever you're driving something that's taller and just a little bit bigger and a little bit longer. It's going to make you a little more nervous. But again, after you got to coming back, got a little more relaxed, I saw the coach gliding a little smoother because you weren't as nervous with the steering wheel.
I tell you what I liked about the IH, and I know you can get this in a variety of coaches, the technology. It had an overhead camera. When I would turn on the right blinker, then I could see the camera on my right. Now, it didn't mean I could no longer pay attention to the mirrors, but it just gave me a visual that there might be a car in my I guess the swing out or swing away side. However, and I got to say this, that model had the dash. It was an electronic instrument dash. And when I turn on my signal, right or left, then that would take over. While I had a different screen for the camera than that video game dash, as I like to call it, then that would become the camera too. I had a redundant camera there. Where I thought that was a negative, I couldn't see my speedometer. So if I'm approaching an interstate exit and it said, 35 miles an hour, and I don't know the coach well enough to know, am I going slow enough for the exit? Right. I don't know if that's something that can be overridden or reprogrammed, but I thought that was weird that I would lose if those were real gauges, I would have had it. Right. Okay, did I explain that properly?
Right. In the settings, I'm sure we can go in there and change that up so that you'll have a split screen where it would have your gauges at the top and your video at the bottom.
Because considering the video was coming off that second screen,
right,
that was just kind of weird.
Right.
But I got to tell you, that's a coach I would consider. I mean, it's just, and by the way, the fit and finish on that one was just gorgeous. And then we ended up on the country coach. This is an older model. We did some parking lot, and then we just drove. It's about half an hour in that. That's an interesting coach. It's a different feel from behind the wheel of the IH. It's a little bit looser. I guess I don't want to say smoother. I can't explain it. I haven't. And it's funny. I've told them every coach I've gotten, and I said I want to buy this one. I keep changing my mind. But that was interesting. Now, what do we have on tap for tomorrow?
Tomorrow, what we'll do is we're going to hop in the 40-foot coach again, the 07, and we're going to try to go get into a little busier traffic.
Okay.
We're going to get some cars passing us and us having to work in and out of cars. And, today we went on a lot less traveled road.
Some lazy streets.
Yeah, we went on a lot less traveled road today, but tomorrow we're going to try to get in there, get some action moving around us, and us working around those cars moving around us.
Okay, we're going to do the Starbucks test tomorrow. Like if I'm driving on the highway, say we go to Starbucks, can I get the coach near there, right?
Right.
And then we're going to try going backwards?
We'll do some parking as if you were backing into an RV site or needing to back into a spot at the mall if you wanted to go to the mall.
Tomorrow's just a half day, so we're going to hit the ground running tomorrow, and then we're going to end up. Okay, questions, comments, and opinions, leave them right there. Don't forget, the easiest way to keep up is just to go to facebook.com/Gadget Guru and like us. That way you'll be notified of new posts. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. That's it for now. I'm the Gadget Guru, Andy Pargh.